in 2018, I met this woman named Bonnie, very serendipitously. And she was a therapist at UCLA, and she became a really close friend and a mentor. And pretty soon into hanging out, she started talking about trauma, the word trauma, which is hilarious to even think about this now, but I literally had never thought about that word.
Wow.
And now it's obviously, I see it everywhere. But it was almost like she just opened this door of, hey, all this success is cool, but this is where you're actually going to start to feel better. And she introduced me to people like Gabor Mate, Peter Levine, Waking the Tiger, all these, Body Keeps the Score. It was like back to back, book after book she was sending me. And so I started to just look into this world of healing, trauma. I'd suffered from like severe anxiety, even before Yes Theory. So it's, I'd become this workaholic in a lot of ways to avoid dealing with that severe anxiety. And obviously the workaholism only contributed to it more over time. So Bonnie introduces me to this world, and suddenly there's like words to how I'm feeling. There's like, oh, there's dissociation. Oh, that's like a thing people talk about, like feeling out of your body, because I've felt that like for so long, but I've never really put a label on it. And there's things like, IFS, internal family system, inner child work. Like my childhood has stuff that is involved in this. Like that's affecting how I'm feeling now, and it's interesting. I hesitate to talk about this now because I'm still in the process of this healing. I'm not coming on this podcast being like, bro, I'm fucking solid.
You forgot your shawl and your turban.
Yeah.
I'm the
like
guru.
bow to me now.
Well, you kind of are levitating. But
yeah, I'm kind of levitating. And so there's this, I think that's part of the nervousness and, being back in the world and being in Yes Theory. And I'm going to join in on videos and talk about the book and all this stuff is I feel like a guy who's in the middle of the marathon talking about the first half of the marathon. Whereas I'm like, I still got the second half to run. Yeah. But the reason I am doing it is because I think there is a lot of service as well that comes with speaking about it. There's a level of connection I get from talking about it while I'm going through it, rather than waiting, for a few years from now when I'm much better. And there's a level of like, hey, in order for me to get better, I need to leave this thing. And so I don't want to bounce without saying goodbye. Like I want to say bye. And it's also kind of difficult because the people who are closest to me, even up until recently, very recently, like you, have seen me broken and hurt and still working through a lot of this stuff. So I find that I am ultimately, I would say, proud of myself. And I think what I'm also learning is that by talking about it while I'm going through it, I'm developing this sense of confidence in it, in myself, and this feeling of like, oh, it's not this scary monster. It's mental health is like physical health. It's like, I think within the next few years, maybe a little later, it's going to be the norm to be like, call up a friend like, hey, dude, my mental health is not in a good place right now and I need support. And we do that for each other. We're, as we speak, but there is still that little fear that's like, don't talk about it. Just don't address it, especially if you're going through it in the moment. And fuck, dude, I'm going through it. Like, this book is bringing it all out. Writing it brought it all out, but now publicly being involved in all of it is it's just a one day at a time process, and couldn't do it without the support. So yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's beautiful for you just to speak into it, because you imagine how many people that deal with anxiety, feeling lonely at times, and don't hear what you just shared. Well, then there is one less relatable individual on the planet that makes them feel a little bit less alone. And so I think it's really important to have these conversations while you're in it. Also acknowledging, listen, I don't have it all figured out, but it can be incredibly comforting for people.